Good evening, warriors. Let me tell you something straight. There comes a point in your life where silence becomes your loudest power and self-focus becomes your greatest weapon, not because you hate the world, but because you're done explaining yourself to people who are never listening. You've got dreams, but the noise around you is drowning your drive. You've got potential, but you're giving your energy to the wrong people. Today, I want to talk to you about the power of silence and the unstoppable force of focusing on yourself. Not to become selfish, but to become solid. So let's dive into 8 core principles that can transform your life forever. In a world that glorifies noise, status updates, likes, tweets, opinions, arguments, silence feels like an act of rebellion. But let me tell you something that most people don't realize. Silence isn't weakness. Silence is discipline. Silence is power wrapped in calm. It's the first true mark of someone who doesn't need validation to know who they are. It's a weapon only the strong know how to use. You see, we've been trained to think that speaking up makes you strong. And sometimes, yes, that's true. But what about when your silence speaks louder than your words ever could? What about when your decision to not engage is actually your loudest answer? Think about the lion, the king of the jungle. He doesn't go around barking orders, roaring for attention. He observes, he watches, he calculates, he waits in silence, and when the moment is right, he moves with precision. That's power. That's what silence can be when it's rooted in focus and strength. There's a strength in not reacting. When someone disrespects you and you don't respond, that's strength. When the world doubts you and you don't waste time proving them wrong with words, but with results, that's power. That's focus. Let me give you a real life story. Have you ever heard of H.J. Heinz? Before his ketchup empire, he went bankrupt. People mocked him, competitors laughed, but he didn't go out to clap back. He didn't waste his breath defending himself. He stayed silent, focused, and built an empire brick by brick. He let his product do the talking. Today, that name is on millions of tables worldwide. That's what silence can do when paired with relentless focus. Most people are addicted to reacting. Someone says something negative, they fire back. Someone doubts them, they go on a rant. But here's what they don't get. When you respond to every critic, you're giving them free rent in your mind. You're draining energy that should have gone into building your dream. Silence protects that energy. It keeps your fire burning on the inside. You don't have to explain your grind. You don't have to justify your decisions. Your results will speak. Your success will make the noise. That's when silence becomes thunder. Now let me ask you this. What could you accomplish if you stopped explaining and started executing? How far could you go if you didn't waste another second reacting to someone who doesn't even believe in themselves, let alone you? There's a quote I live by, work hard in silence, let success make the noise. That quote is a way of life. It's about shutting out the chatter, putting your head down and doing the damn work. But silence isn't just about discipline, it's also about peace. Not everything deserves your reaction. Not everyone deserves your explanation. When you choose silence, you choose peace over pride. You choose progress over pettiness. You choose to rise instead of retaliate. And let's not ignore the emotional side of it either. Sometimes silence is the only thing that keeps you sane. When life is heavy, when your heart is tired, when your mind is racing with stress, silence is where healing begins. It's in those quiet moments you reconnect with yourself. You remember who you are. You realign with your purpose. So yes, silence builds strength because it forces you to listen. It teaches you patience. It sharpens your instincts. It keeps your spirit steady in a storm. And most importantly, it sets the stage for you to focus on what matters most. You. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to argue to win. You don't need to be seen to be great. Focus, build, move in silence, because when the time is right, your results will make more noise than your words ever could. And when that day comes, the world won't just hear you. They'll feel you. Let's face it, you've spent too many nights lying awake, replaying conversations in your head. You've wasted too many days trying to get people to understand your dreams, your goals, your grind. You've bent over backward trying to convince people who don't even understand themselves, let alone you. It's time to stop. You don't owe anybody an explanation for the path you've chosen. You don't need permission to become the person you're trying to be. And you sure as hell don't need to break yourself apart trying to fit into the small box someone else built for you. You know why? Because people don't see you as you are. They see you as they are. They see you through the lens of their own limitations, their own fear, their own broken dreams. So when you speak about something big, when you talk about starting a business, moving to a new city, chasing your vision, changing your body, fixing your mind, they flinch. Not because you're wrong, but because you're a reflection of everything they're too afraid to do. And what happens? They try to pull you back, not always directly, sometimes with fake concern. Are you sure you want to do that? That seems risky. Don't you think you're being unrealistic? Sound familiar? Here's the truth they won't say out loud. Your courage threatens their comfort. Your focus exposes their distraction, and your ambition makes them question why they stopped fighting for their own dreams. You want to know who you should explain yourself to, your future self, the version of you 5 years from now, standing at the top of the mountain, smiling because you stayed the course. That's the only conversation that matters. Let me tell you about someone who embodies this principle, Fred Smith, the founder of FedEx. When he submitted the idea of an overnight delivery service in college, his professor gave him a C and said the idea was not feasible. When he pitched it to investors, they laughed him out of the room. He didn't argue. He didn't write rebuttals or go on a rant. He just did the work. Today, FedEx delivers millions of packages every day. Silence, focus, execution. You don't need to convince people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Stop arguing with those who have already decided you're wrong. It's a waste of energy. They don't need your words, and you don't need their approval. And what about your family, your friends, the people who mean well? Listen, just because they love you doesn't mean they understand your purpose, and that's okay. Let them love you from a distance while you work on yourself. You can come back later with results that speak so loud they won't have anything left to say. Now let's talk emotionally, because I know you're tired. You're tired of being judged. You're tired of being misunderstood. You're tired of people thinking you've changed just because you've started choosing yourself. But you didn't change, you evolved, you grew, you matured, you stopped settling, and that makes people uncomfortable. Growth always does. So here's what I want you to remember. You don't have to explain your hustle. You don't have to justify your discipline. You don't have to break your silence for the sake of someone else's insecurity. Your job is not to make everyone feel comfortable about your journey. Your job is to become the best version of you, whether they understand it or not. Let your consistency do the talking. Let your transformation be the explanation. Let your success be the statement that silences every doubt they ever had about you. You owe it to yourself to stop explaining and start becoming. Because in the end, people will only understand what you've built when they see it standing tall, unshakable, undeniable, and untouchable. You don't need to scream louder. You just need to grind harder. Let the world sleep on you. Let them doubt you. Let them misunderstand you. Then watch their jaws drop when your silence becomes a legacy. Let me hit you with something real. Your peace is priceless. It's not a luxury. It's not a bonus. It's a necessity. And if you're not protecting it with everything you've got, then you're leaving the doors wide open for chaos to break in and destroy what you're trying to build. Peace doesn't mean your life is perfect. Peace doesn't mean the world stops spinning or that problems disappear. Peace means that no matter what's going on around you, you remain anchored, calm, focused. It's like standing still in the middle of a storm while everything else flies by. But here's the truth. Peace is under attack every single day. Not by guns or bombs, but by negativity, distractions, gossip, noise, comparison, fake friends, and emotional vampires who drain your spirit like it's their full-time job. You ever walk into a room and feel your energy shift immediately? That's not your imagination. That's your soul recognizing a threat to your peace, and too often we ignore that signal. We stay in conversations we should have walked away from. We keep relationships that expired years ago. We entertain people who only reach out when they need something, and all of it comes at the cost of our peace. Let me give you a story, one you might not know. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player to ever live, wasn't just great because of talent. It was his focus. During the 1996 NBA Finals, while the world was watching, while reporters were hungry for headlines, he made one thing clear: he wasn't going to feed the noise. He shut out the world. No social events, no media distractions, just him and the mission. He even distanced himself from some longtime friends who started bringing stress instead of support. That's how he protected his peace, like a warrior guarding a fortress. And you should too. Now, protecting your peace doesn't mean cutting people off without explanation. It means setting boundaries. And if they don't respect those boundaries, then yes, cut them off without hesitation. Start saying no without guilt. Start leaving group chats that drain your spirit. Start unfollowing accounts that make you feel less than. Start walking away from conversations that leave you angry, anxious, or confused. It's not selfish, it's self-preservation. Peace is where your power grows. It's where your creativity comes alive. It's where your healing begins. When you're at peace, you think clearly, you move with purpose. You choose wisely, but when you're constantly fighting mental noise, you get sloppy, you make bad decisions, you lose yourself trying to keep everyone else comfortable. And let's talk relationships for a second. If you're constantly begging for respect, explaining your worth, defending your dreams, that's not love. That's emotional warfare. Protect your peace. Leave the table where love is no longer being served. Even family, yeah, I said it. Just because someone shares your blood doesn't mean they get to poison your spirit. Love them, but from a distance if you have to. Peace doesn't mean no conflict. It means healthy boundaries during conflict. It means choosing what's worth your energy and what's not. Protecting your peace is also about internal discipline. Watch your thoughts. Every day, your mind wants to run wild, replaying the past, fearing the future, overthinking what someone said 5 minutes ago. Silence those thoughts. Reclaim your mind. You're not a prisoner to your own mental chaos. Try this. Every morning before the world starts talking to you, talk to yourself. Say it out loud. Today, I protect my peace. No matter who calls, no matter what they say, I stay grounded. I stay focused. I stay powerful. That's how you build an inner fortress, and don't underestimate the little things. Go for a walk, breathe, journal, pray, meditate, train, disconnect. These aren't soft habits, these are battle tactics for the warrior who wants to win in silence. Because in the end, peace isn't found. It's built, it's guarded, it's earned. So start treating it like your most valuable possession, because it is. Protect your peace like it's your life, because it is. There's a moment in every warrior's life when they look around and realize something brutal, no one's coming to save them. The apologies you never got, they're not coming. The support you waited for, it's not guaranteed. The love you kept giving but never received, it might never return, and that realization, it hurts. But it's also the most liberating thing that can ever happen to you. Because when you stop looking outward, you finally start looking inward. You finally say, I've got to do this for me. And that's the beginning of healing. That's where the real work begins. The kind of work no one applauds. The kind of progress no one sees. But it's the most powerful transformation you'll ever go through. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you gave yourself the energy you give to others? We wake up, and from the first minute of the day, we're giving. Replying to messages, checking timelines, meeting deadlines, returning calls, solving other people's problems. We're everywhere for everyone except ourselves. And that's why we stay broken. That's why we feel empty even when we're surrounded by people, because we've abandoned ourselves trying to be there for everyone else. But healing begins when you pull your attention away from the noise. And back into your soul, let me share a story with you. A close friend of mine lost everything in a year. Marriage fell apart. Business collapsed. Health deteriorated. He was surrounded by people when he had everything, but the moment it all crumbled, silence. That's when he realized no one can heal you but you. So he turned inward. Woke up every day at 5 a.m., started journaling, went back to the gym, read books, cut off all toxic relationships, focused on his breath, his mind, his soul. Fast forward 2 years, he's not just successful again, he's peaceful, he's solid, because he learned to pour into himself first. He stopped waiting, he focused on himself, and through that, he healed. Here's what no one tells you: healing doesn't look like candles and spa days. Healing looks like choosing discipline over distraction. It looks like removing people you love because they poison your peace. It looks like waking up to your own patterns and saying, I refuse to repeat this cycle. When you focus on yourself, you finally see your wounds, and it hurts at first, but that pain, it's necessary. It's the crack where the light gets in. It's the beginning of real change. You start to notice the trauma you never addressed, the self-talk you've been ignoring, the way you sabotage your own success. And when you bring focus to it, you start to patch it. Bit by bit, day by day, you become whole again, not because of someone else, but because you chose yourself. You also begin to build trust with yourself. And that's huge. Think about it. How can you expect others to trust you, respect you, love you, when deep down you don't even believe you're worth it? Self-focus brings that trust back. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, waking up early, staying consistent, cutting off toxicity, your inner self starts believing again. I can count on me. I can carry me. I've got my back. That's the foundation of true healing. It's not found in distractions. It's not found in relationships. It's not found in revenge. It's found in silence, in solitude, in that sacred space where it's just you and the truth. That's where the wounds start closing. That's where the scars become strength. So if you're tired, if you're broken, if you're running on empty, don't look for someone to fix it. Don't wait for someone to apologize. Don't waste another second begging the world to fill what only you can repair. Turn the focus inward, do the work, stay consistent, because when you focus on yourself, you don't just heal, you become unstoppable. There's a strange thing that happens when you stop talking and start working. When you go quiet, the world gets curious. They used to hear from you every day, your opinions, your reactions, your plans, your posts. But now you've gone silent. No updates, no justifications, no explanations. Just progress, and the same people who once ignored you, now they're watching closely, wondering, whispering. That's the power of silence. Because when you stop speaking, they start noticing. When you stop chasing validation, you become a mystery. And mystery is magnetic. Let me tell you something. People don't respect loud ambition. They respect quiet results. You can talk about goals all day long, how you're gonna lose weight, build a business, get out of debt, find peace, but until your actions line up with your words, it's just noise. And people tune out noise, but silence, that hits different. Imagine two people at the gym. One's loud, recording every set, yelling for attention, flexing for followers. The other, headphones in, no eye contact. Just grind. Which one do you think people actually watch? Exactly. The more you speak, the more chances you give people to doubt you, debate you, drag you. But when you go silent, you take their weapons away. There's nothing to mock, nothing to argue, nothing to criticize. There's only one thing left for them to do. Watch. Let me give you a real example. Adele, the globally renowned singer, after winning Grammys and shattering records, she disappeared from the public eye. No interviews, no social media stunts, nothing. For years, people wondered, where is she? What's she doing? Then, out of nowhere, she dropped a new album and it exploded. Not because she hyped it, but because the silence built suspense. And when she returned, all eyes were on her. That's the weight silence carries when you're doing real work behind the scenes. You have to learn how to let your absence create presence. Sometimes the loudest message you can send is your silence. It says, I don't need to prove anything. I don't need to convince anyone. I'm too busy building. And yes, some people will assume you've failed. Let them. Some will think you've changed. Let them. Some will wonder why you're quiet. Let them. You're not responsible for their assumptions. You're responsible for your evolution. There's something powerful that happens in silence. You begin to glow differently. Your energy shifts. Your vibe becomes stronger. You start to walk with more clarity, more confidence, more purpose. Not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you finally stopped trying to explain yourself to everyone. And that glow, it draws people in. They notice the calm, they notice the discipline, they notice the results. And here's the best part, they don't even realize what's happening. They just feel something different about you. That's silent power. That's the result of focus and restraint. Now let's talk emotionally. You've probably spent years giving speeches about your growth, telling people how you're changing, explaining your boundaries, defending your dreams, but now you've learned the truth. Growth doesn't need a microphone. It needs a mirror, because when you're really evolving, you don't have the time or energy to talk about it. You're too busy becoming it. You don't need to warn people you're coming. They'll feel it when you arrive and they will talk. Oh yes, they will. She got quiet. He doesn't call anymore. They're acting different, and they'll say it like it's a bad thing. But what they don't understand is that your silence was never about them. It was about reclaiming yourself, your mind, your peace, your focus, your future. So stop explaining your silence. Let them wonder. Let them whisper. Let them guess. Because when the time is right, you'll step back into the light, and your presence will be the only explanation you'll ever need. Remember, when you stop speaking, they start watching. So go quiet and make them listen with your results. So now you know the path is not loud, the path is not crowded, the path is not filled with applause. It's quiet, it's lonely, it's hard, but it's yours. And if you want to become something powerful, if you want to rise from the chaos, silence the noise, and unlock your full potential, then you've got to make one choice, and one choice only. Focus on yourself and stay silent. Because when you stop explaining, you start evolving. When you stop chasing people, you start attracting peace. When you stop making noise, you start making moves. This life is yours, not theirs. Your journey is personal. Not public. You don't need a crowd. You need clarity. You don't need approval. You need alignment. You don't need validation. You need vision. So keep your head down. Keep your heart focused. Keep your circle small. And keep your mouth shut until it's time to speak through your results. Because when the world sees what silence and self-focus created, they won't just hear you. They'll never forget you. Now go. Build in silence and let your legacy scream.